Here with that story later. Myanmar's military has accused the country's ousted leader of accepting bribes while in office. An army spokesman made the allegations against Aung San Suu Kyi during a televised media briefing. She was detained after being deposed in a military coup last month. Well, this comes a day after the European Union announced sanctions on 11 officials in Myanmar, including the leader of the military junta. It's in response to the coup and the violent crackdown on protesters since. Let's go to Florence Louise, live for us in Kuala Lumpur. Florence, good to see you. So talk us through what we've heard from the military this morning.
Well, it really came across as a rather desperate public relations exercise by the Myanmar military. Now, the spokesman, one of the first things he talked about was that the military expressed regret and they were sorry for the loss of lives. And he said about 164 protesters had been killed during the protests. Now, it's worth pointing out that this number is much smaller than the number given by an advocacy group that's been tracking deaths and detentions since the coup. The Assistance Association for Political Prisoners says at least 261 people have been killed and more than 2,300 people have been detained since the coup on the 1st of February. Now, and then the Myanmar military also went on to, in a way, try and shore up support for the case against the democratically elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi. Now, if you remember, she was charged with breaching import-export laws by possessing illegal walkie-talkies, and then after that she was subsequently charged with breaking COVID-19 laws on gatherings. And then about 10 days ago, the military said she was guilty of corruption. And now at this press conference, they've shown video testimony by a former Yangon chief minister saying that he had visited her and given her cash whenever needed, and also accusing her of accepting gifts of gold bars and silk. Now and then, the Myanmar military spokesman also talked about the case of the Australian citizen and advisor to Aung San Suu Kyi, an economic advisor to Aung San Suu Kyi, Sean Turnell, who's been detained since February 6. Now, as early as the 1st of March, as recently as the 1st of March, Australian officials still weren't clear whether he had been charged or what he was going to be charged with. Well, now the Myanmar military says he is being investigated for immigration offences as well as for possibly breaching state secrets. Now, but the fact that this information or the so-called evidence that the Myanmar military is trying to present, the fact that all this is coming out in dribs and drabs more than a month after these people have been detained, really will lead people to question, whether or not what the Myanmar military is telling them is believable. And as to an indication of what direction the protests and the Myanmar military, just what sort of action they're going to take in the future, I think the Myanmar military said that the violence and the protests appear to be on the decrease and that now they're going to focus